the land cost for 2025 is scaring me. And guess what? When you think that that's the end of it, 2026 available lands are going to be made much lesser. Now, that's not good if you're a buyer, of course. First up, 2025 has been an amazing year for the property market, so it seems. Some people say that the recent market is quite the opposite of the new launch market. Now, is that true? Because new launch like selling out at almost 80-90% for the even a half decent ones, while the certain resale units get stuck in the market for like 3, 4, 5 months. Now, for those of you who are out of touch with the market and planning to get into it back in 2026, let me try to break it down to you on what's going on. And then I'll tell you why the land cost in 2025 is scaring the shit out of me so far, seeing from a neutral point of view, even though I'm a property agent. Disclaimer, whatever I share does not constitute financial advice. It is solely based on my opinion on what is right or wrong. So please do your own due diligence. If you're liking the content so far, please hit the like and subscribe button, as your simple gesture will help a lot with the YouTube algorithm. If you are interested to find out more about property related matters, please find all the social media handles I am on, or you can just directly reach out to me on WhatsApp. Separately, I have also set up a Telegram group at the start of the year so that we can have a discussion that we as agents are not allowed to do so online, which is to talk shit. So if you are interested to get into a community that talks about everything under the sun about property, please scan the QR code, or for the boomers out there, I have pasted the link in my description. We're going to close the group invitation in probably a month or 2 times, so head over and I will see you there. Now back to the video. Now, before I start, I want to do a simple shout out to my social media handles, especially Instagram, when I'm almost like non-existent there. So for 2026, we will be rebranding our Instagram to provide new contents that is the opposite of what you are seeing here on our YouTube channels, which is mainly educational videos. Over there, we will be doing a new range of home tours that kind of best fit the Instagram demographic. So if you haven't joined us yet, please head over. The link is here. I've also pasted a link in the description. So I'll see you guys there. And I would like to personally thank every one of you here who liked and subscribed to the channel this year. I keep saying that my last video is the last video of the year, but yet I still keep churning out more videos. I guess this is really it because I was on the plane from my trip back in Chiang Mai when I had nothing to do, and so I thought it's pretty fun to do one last one, especially like last year talking about GLS for the coming year of 2026. For information, Chiang Mai is so much fun. So if you are a family and do not know where else to travel apart from the usual hotspots, you might want to check that out. I love everything about it. And yes, I'm back here for about 4 or 5 days before I set off for one last trip all the way till Christmas and potentially New Year. So I really wanted to say this again. Thank you very much for the support, because I looked through the numbers for the entire year. I had like, I think 29 consultations from YouTube and helped close to 20 of them find their dream homes and investment in resale and new launch segment. I absolutely enjoyed the experience, even though you will get some people who obviously is here to waste your time. But you know what? You can't have everything in life. So for the silent supporters out there also, thank you very much. If you still need a guide on what's really safe to enter in today's market, given prices are like not coming off, you can reach out to me directly too. So Merry Christmas, guys. Okay, anyway, back to it. So since that crazy slew of launches in November of 2024, EOK, Navago, Trump Park, that set the pace for new launches in 2025, every single launch since then is like selling at like 80-90%. Well, to me, that is good for developers, good for agents, good for lawyers, good for banks, even good for the government, but not so good for the buyers and the market as a whole. And I'll tell you why. Point number 1, the strong take-up rate will force developers to replenish their land banks. Now, developers are business entities after all, because they are into buying and selling. So their market outlook is usually for the shorter term, like buy at $1 and then sell at $2 or more. If they can sell it on one day, even better. Now, when developers sell as well as they did for 2025, they will quickly go back to bidding for lands to replenish their land banks. And given the inventory right now is so short, everyone is joining the bidding process. Now, when everyone joins in the fun, then there's bound to be more aggressive bidding. Then when there's more aggressive bidding, the land cost will just go up. which reflects clearly for land bids in 2025. Now, if I were to just give you two examples of how crazy the land prices are, Guaco Land got the Springleaf Residences plot at 905 per square foot per plot ratio in April of 2024. Now, Upper Thomson Road Parcel A, the mixed development, was acquired just 2 months back, or about like 1.5 years apart from when Guaco Land paid for theirs and it went at a price of 1062 per square foot per plot ratio, which is like 70% higher. Now, 17% higher in just 1 year. Okay. Second example, the Chuan Grove plot. Now, that was acquired by Sing Holdings at 1373 per square foot per plot ratio. If you pit it against Chuan Park en bloc by Kingsford a couple of years back in 2022, their base of 1042 per square foot per plot ratio is 31% cheaper. And after factoring all the lease top up and whatnot ever at 1250 or rather 1256 per square foot, it is still close to 10% higher. Now, one more unrelated kind of example, but somewhat relatable still, is the Newton GLS. Now, recently it was purchased by HH Investment. To be honest, I do not know who they are, but I only know the company has roots in Taiwan. They outbidded everyone at 1820 per square foot per plot ratio. Now, that sets the record for the second highest ever government land sales bid in the history of Singapore as far as government land sales are concerned. Now, for those who follow me close enough for the longest time knows that I'm not a big fan of Newton properties. Now, the plots there are generally smaller and it's also in a family-oriented neighborhood where the tangible components of real estate comes to extra focus. So when you have an area flush with smaller lands more than larger ones, then the general performance of the entire district will then lag behind other areas. Hence, this plot is no different with a relatively small land. No big deal, to be honest. I don't really care so much about the rejuvenation of the township because I feel that the premium is not going to be justified. So 1820 per square foot per plot ratio. Now, you think about it, UL got the upper house plot along Orchard Boulevard at 1616 per square foot per plot ratio, 13% lower and at a much superior location. Now, if you look at it, Newton versus Orchard Boulevard, the prestige and difference in class is big, but yet the not so sought after one goes for like 13% higher. So come on, man. I mean, I think if there's a similar plot just beside Upper House right now, it will probably cost between like 1,800 to 2,000 per square foot per plot ratio in today's market. Now, you see how much that has changed in the past 1 to 2 years. It just means that if you find Upper House, the likes of Chuan Park or Springleaf expensive this year, it's going to look cheap in about 1 to 2 years' time. Then in 2 videos ago where I was talking about why I think 2026 will be the year of the sub-sales and resales, the higher land cost will create a bigger gap between the resale and the new launch, potentially representing or presenting opportunity in that segment of the market. But then why is resale market still moving so slowly? Doesn't make sense, right? Now, if I say gap between new launch and resale is wide, then shouldn't the resale market be moving too, right? Sounds fair? Well, because even though the resale market is cheaper comparatively to new launch, it is in its own segment trading at an all-time high. You think new launch prices have gone up quite some bit, right? But the resale prices for some has gone up even higher than new launches. You think it's fun looking for resale properties? Because every owner out there is calling for the sky. If I give you an example, you look at Sterling Residences owners for the 1055 square feet, they are all calling for like $2.8 million and up. And yes, that is still cheaper than the Penrith 1066 square feet, but it's easily 200 to 300k higher than prices last year. And of course, definitely an all-time high. Another example is like Dakota Residences 4-bedroom, also the same. Latest transaction hitting like $4.15 million. Now, 1 year ago, it was like $3.3 to $3.5 million. So when these sort of prices are being called, of course, the resale market takes a bit longer to move. It takes time for some buyers to come to terms with the higher price. But is there demand for units? Yes, certainly, but at a heavily inflated price and not so much. Then again, good units will still eventually move and bad units will take longer. Now, that's one fact that doesn't change over the years. That's why if you are hunting for good resale properties, given the new launches are like so darn high and will continue to trend higher, it's not going to be easy to get a good deal of owners as they try to adjust their prices closest to what they think is fair. Then it's down to whether the buyers can accept the price and all. Now, that's where I come into the picture to advise clients on whether the price prices they are paying right now is still worth the premium or not on the long run, because it's easy to judge based on large transacted prices. But when the market is moving, that's only going to help you to a certain extent, because you need to have a longer term position on the stuff you buy. If that's what you find lacking when you're engaging an agent or looking for your own house, you can always reach out to me to see how we can take this forward or move sideways. So again, back to it, 2025 is scary. Notable ones, of course, the Newton plot sold at 1820 per square foot, Chuan Grove 1370 PSF, Dorset Road, Little India at 1340 PSF. Every damn semi-decent location will likely sell between like 2,800 to 3,000 per square foot onwards lah. But what's happening for 2026? Let's look at every single plot for first half 2026 GLS and make a guess what sort of bids they will likely garner, shall we? I remember doing this segment 1 year ago, and in a blink of an eye, we are here again. Now, before I start on this, you just need to know what's going on the GLS front. Now, this exercise is about 10% lower than what was being offered a year ago. Now, a total of 9 sites yielding close to 4,575 units to be exact, as compared to 5,030. And on the back of a record-breaking year for developers that I have not witnessed in my 15 years career, that's only going to mean that competition for lands are going to only intensify lah. Now, to also touch on something that I was hoping would be made available on the government land sale program, it is the plot that is in between the coastline, Amber Point, and the ECP Expressway. Now, the land stretches all the way to Chinese Swimming Club is so prime, it would have easily been one of our top picks for sure lah. I guess we have to wait for probably the next GLS program for it to potentially pop up. I am very excited for that. Also, I'm not sure why No Marina Gardens plot is being made available under confirmed lease. I'm excited to see what the price will stabilize at, or if the OMG 1 Marina Gardens is deemed too expensive or cheap lah. I know there's one under the reserve lease, but same not same. Secondly, there's also talks about the government reviewing the collective sales regime, meaning there could be a lowering of the percentage that must be agreed before it can be put out for sale, from the 80% down to the potentially 70% threshold. Now, if that rule gets passed, there's going to be a lot of developments that will clear that threshold, man, I can tell you, because there's so many of them that got stuck between the 70 to 80% range. Now, when that happens and accompanied by a drop in GLS units being offered, I think it sends a strong signal to the market that it is in the government's interest that aging properties make way for urban rejuvenation. Because if much of the addition of supply is like made through primary land sales, you will see a skyline that's kind of like pretty much mixed. And don't forget, our government is constantly looking to rejuvenate the island alongside growing like new townships. So the en-bloc market should pick up in no time, or in a matter of time. So if you think about it, reduce government land sales units, relax en-bloc rules, more en-bloc happens, urban rejuvenation achieved. Ta-da! Well thought out plan, right? If executed. So anyway, back to government sales for 2026. Now, if you look at it, there's quite a few juicy plots, but I'll start with the first one, and that's the Holland Plain. Now, 1.57 hectares or 280 units. This is the second plot after Simland paid 1432 per square foot for the one opposite 11 Holland and the Columbarium. Now, nothing much to really shout about here. You'll get plenty of old money buying to this, given the location is like very sparse and the MGS is like a short drive away. Now, I expect the bid price to be like around 1,400 per square foot per plot ratio, below the price Simland has paid for theirs. If it sells anything above 1,500 per square foot, then I will be pleasantly surprised. But for this, I will kind of like rate 6.5 out of 10, very normal plot lor. Now, second one, River Valley Green, Parcel C, yet another River Valley new launch. Given the CCR launches at River Valley has been wiped out almost clean, 1.15 hectare or around 123,000 land size. Now, this is the one sandwich between Yong An Park and River Modern. In terms of location, you can't separate between the other two of River Green and River Modern, but I know this one probably has the least exciting views. On the north side facing towards Yong An Park, then on the eastern side faces towards River Valley Primary School, then southern side overlooks River Modern, and on towards the east, you are like anchored towards the Centennial Suites M3. So for that, and given the magnitude of competition coming up, I will like kind of probably give this like a 6 out of 10 stars. Fantastic location, that's about it lor. Now, expected price range 1,000 per square foot per plot ratio. Won't be surprised this is between 1,450 to 1,500 per square foot. Now, above 1,500 per square foot will be a problem. Good or bad problem? I don't know, after you decide. Now, third up, Peck Hay Road. Now, this is probably the plot that is part of the Newton rejuvenation, a relatively small land size of close to 60,000 square feet. Now, it mirrors that of all the other launches or properties along the Scotts Road or Newton area. Personally, I'm not a fan of this, but do take note for those who are looking to put your kids to the ACS, likely ACS Junior, this will shift to the former bucket spot. It will also likely be outside the 1 km radius of SCGS and SJI. With a smaller land plot like this, I would expect probably like a luxury developer to pick this up to build a very luxurious development given the location. I won't be surprised to see the likes of like maybe King Leong joining the fun here. My expected price range for this could be between 1,600 to 1,700 per square foot, even though the one at Newton, one by HH Investment, was 1,820 per square foot. I think that it could be a one-off because all the other bids here were easily under 1,650 per square foot PPR. So yes, 1,600 to 1,700 per square foot should be a realistic range. Again, this is like a 6 to 7 as far as I'm concerned. It really depends on what they are trying to build here. Now, fourth plot, the Balaya Drive. I bet your first reaction is to Google Map where the location is, right? Because I also did just that. And I saw Balaya Drive. I'm like, where exactly is this? Such an interesting address. Of course, this will be the first sea-fronting land at the Greater Southern Waterfront and the second one after the recently concluded one acquired by Kingsford. And it's a very huge plot at 273,000 square feet, expected to yield about like 415 units. Interestingly, the plot ratio is only 1.4, which means that it's likely a low-density development that resembles that of Caribbean and Corals. Now, the biggest challenge of the area has always been the exit. Now, the lack of strong local demand on the harbourfront side will likely continue to give buyers a bit like second thoughts on the neighbourhood. But if a developer builds you a proper home with efficient layouts, I don't see how this might not buck the trend, because part of the problems at the neighbourhood is that the layouts are like all over the place. No offense, but you just do some research on corals and reflection and you will get what I mean. Given the Kingsford bought the first GLS here at around 1,320 per square foot PBR, I expect this one with far superior views to probably hit like 1,350 to 1,400 PSF. That said, I'm also equally excited about the Kingsford one because the view towards the northern eastern region should be quite amazing given it overlooks the Mount Faber and City Central. Now, the kind of sight you will likely only get when you're on the cable car. That kind of view, of course, you also got to contend with the West Coast Highway noise, but overall, looking good. I'm very excited on this one. Back to it, I rate this Balaya Drive plot at around 8 to 8.5 out of 10, dragged down only by the not so good performance of the neighbourhood, but hey, it's an entire new township. So let's see. Now, plot number 5, Canberra EC. Surprisingly small plot at about 123,000 square feet land size, located right behind Brownstone and Visionaire. 185 units. Nothing much to talk about this given it's yet another EC addition to the neighbourhood itself. Nothing else to talk about this. So maybe 6.5 out of 10. Expected price range should be like 650 to 680 per square foot PPR. Plot number 6, and yes, this is probably the one to really look at. The best one in my opinion, the new Upper Changi Road. Now, this plot is massive at 340,000 square feet land size. This expected to yield about 1,040 units and a pretty good plot ratio of like 2.8 means that it can potentially go up to like 20 odd stories. Now, this is a short walking distance to Bedok, but that's not just it, because it's also hugging the backside of Opera Estate neighbourhood, which means you are almost certainly going to get landed downgraders or the C Club. Not to forget, of course, it's Bedok after all, so naturally your rich HDB upgraders will definitely look into this. Now, the bonus point is that on the higher floors facing the southeastern side, you will get a pretty unblocked view of the sea at a distance, and of course the landed views right at the front now. So big plot of land, good views, great convenience, nice mix of likely HDB upgraders and private owners. This could be one of the top 2 launches, but likely for like 2028 because the exercise for this starts on around May 2026, meaning the tender will likely close only by year-end 2026 and developers launching a year later, so maybe like end 2027 or early 2028. Nevertheless, this is a very interesting one. My expected price range for this should be between like 1,400 to 1,450 per square foot. This will be an easy sell for any developer so long as they don't overpay too much, because this lot is easily 9 to 9.5 out of 10. Now, Plot 7, Lorong Pontong, I think that's how you pronounce it, located just across the street of Thomson View. Great potential, but unfortunately, the land is pretty small at only like 46,000 square feet. Expected to yield 140 units. Now, this is in the small radius of where Thomson Impression, Country Esquire, and Country Grandeur is. Short walking distance to Bright Hill, MRT, and Ai Tong. And even though it's a small plot, I still expect the demands to be relatively strong. It should also attract people who prefers more exclusivity as compared to the likes of the upcoming Thomson View, where you should see more crowds. The bids for this should be relatively sizable too, as the outlay for this is much smaller, which also means much lesser risk. 8 to 9 bids easy, I feel. Per square foot plot ratio of about 1350 PSF, I think. Anything above that might be a little bit too expensive. Well, that also depends on whether Thomson View has already launched by then or not, because by then, that will kind of give developers some sort of confidence as to what the buyer's appetites are. So this one, 7.5 out of 10 for the plot. Good location, good amenities, good demography, just a tad too small for a land where the quality might be affected. Plot number 8, Sembawang Drive EC. This is like the furthest EC aside from the Sanja Close in recent years, because this is far. This is very far. And then I really don't want to talk much about this. I mean, agents will upsell the Sembawang Shipyard transformation, but come on, nothing really much to talk about except this used to be one of the hot spots for all the way to Sinoko for rare Pokemons back in the days. Catching Pokemon. So 6 out of 10, 650 per square foot PPR. Bye. And the last plot, possibly the top 2 of this government land sales exercise, the Bayshore Integrated Development. Actually, it's more like Bedok South Integrated Development. Really Bayshore, man. I mean, it's not like the Bayshore kind, but it doesn't matter. 600,000 square feet integrated. Can't get any bigger than that. 1280 units, potentially plot ratio of 2.6 means you could go to about like maybe 30 stories. But I'm not too sure whether it being so close to Changi Airport will have some sort of height limitations. But 1280 units is big for integrated development, or much bigger than Parktown at about 550,000 land size. So I expect demands here to be off the roof. Not only is this in Bayshore, but this is also the cluster that is closer to the big catchment of leasehold and freehold landed properties. Now, Temasek Primary School is also just across the road. The views on the southeastern side towards Bedok Camp is going to be pretty nice. Probably can see planes landing and departing Singapore. Again, I'm not sure whether Bedok Camp is moving entirely, or if those facing Bedok Camp will have extra height limitations or whatever fins, I don't know. But the southern side has another big plot that is for residential and with an even higher plot ratio, so the views on that side should block. Of course, the eastern side will be the new township, so nothing much to look out for. The northern view of the landed enclave should be pretty nice too. I mean, not to mention there's bound to be some TCN or other paths that leads you over to East Coast Park. Maybe that's the real East Coast plan? I don't know. And what the massive plan this is. Mega integrated project in the east. Take my money anytime. But take how much? Because I think this will be like 1,450 to maybe 1,500 PSF PBR. It should be higher than what Sing Ai paid, obviously, for a normal residential plot at 1,380 PSF PBR. But the jump shouldn't be that high either due to high construction cost to be an integrated development. So I think like 1,450 to 1,500 per square foot kind of seems fair. Even at this price, it's not cheap more. But given the property attributes, it's just about right. So for this lot, 9 out of 10, anytime, if only there's no land between this and the East Coast Park, it would have easily been 10 out of 10. Because you know what people always say, there's no perfect property, right? So there you have it, the list of government land sales lands made available for first half of 2026. Well, it has 1 or 2 really freaking solid ones, but there's also a lot of so-so plots, unlike the ones for first half 2025, where I did a video back about a year ago. That was almost all 8 out of 10 at the very before. All very good solid plots, right? Now the Bayshore and the New Changi Road ones are plots that is likely going to be blockbuster in its own right. Now all these lands made available should only see it launching like second half 2027 at the earliest, so don't make too much plans for it just yet because time is precious. Okay, waiting 2 years for it to come can be a big opportunity cost loss also, since almost half of your SSD will have already been over you buy something now. As mentioned earlier in the video, it's clear the government land sales numbers are steadily dropping, and with a potential relaxation on the en bloc rules happening, is it time for the en bloc market to make its return? Who knows? So 2025 has been a very profitable year for a lot of people, and there's a lot of headwinds entering 2026. Rates are projected to go even lower. There's just too many projections on how the market will perform in the year of the horse. For the up-team kind at PocketView, we don't like to be fortune tellers, or we don't play the role of fortune tellers, okay? We do not believe in timing the market. So if you are buying or reaching out to us for directions, it will always be this one simple advice. just buy the right property at the right price. Okay, the only golden question you have should be, in today's market, what is the right price? This way I came to the picture. Because don't try to be too smart. For the best, they only need to be right once. They only need to call it right once. For the bulls, the momentum also cannot constantly stay the same. Even as a property agent who has vested interest, this is not sustainable. But there will always be opportunities, there will always be value traps. Just don't FOMO and buy without truly understanding what you're getting yourself into. Because this is the end of 2025. Happy New Year to every one of you.